High visibility enforcement, commonly referred to as HVE, is a traffic safety approach designed to promote voluntary compliance and change unlawful or unsafe traffic behaviors. HVE combines a publicity strategy, a highly visible and proactive law enforcement, targeting a specific traffic safety issue to educate the public and promote voluntary compliance with the law. The purpose of high visibility enforcement is to promote voluntary compliance by increasing the perceived risk of arrest. Research has shown that an effective way to reduce non-compliance of traffic safety laws is to increase the perceived risk of being stopped or arrested by law enforcement. One of the most successful strategies for doing this is the coupling of intense and highly visible enforcement with the publicity about the enforcement campaign. During routine enforcement activity, often the only person who knows that seatbelt laws are being enforced is the person receiving the ticket. Active, coordinated, highly publicized, and visible enforcement campaigns send a strong message that everyone must be buckled up. It also enhances the perceived importance of seatbelt usage and, in turn, leads to greater compliance. From mid-May through early June, NHTSA buys national media time, which includes television, radio, and online, and conducts a kickoff event to publicize the increased enforcement of seatbelt laws across the country. Law enforcement is asked to conduct high-visibility enforcement day and night during this period. With your help, we can turn thousands of lives lost into many more lives saved. Increasing drunk driving enforcement in the final weeks of summer through the Labor Day holiday weekend, and again over the December holidays, NHTSA's annual Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over crackdowns are focused on reducing the tragic toll caused by impaired drivers every year. Coinciding with enforcement efforts in communities nationwide, NHTSA will buy advertisements. The ads convey the message that law enforcement officers are increasing their efforts to arrest drunk drivers. Law enforcement is asked to conduct high-visibility impaired driving enforcement during this time period. Demonstration projects are conducted to evaluate new HVE campaigns at a state or community level to test their effectiveness. If they're found effective, we share the information with other localities that may want to implement the campaigns. Most recently, NHTSA has conducted HVE demonstration projects for distracted driving and combined messaging, that is, combined enforcement of seatbelt, impaired driving, speeding, and distracted driving laws. The results from these projects will be shared to assist other states and communities working to address the same issues.
Intensive enforcement involves activities over and above what normally take place in a community, including increased participation of law enforcement agencies, increased participation of police officers, and increased number of hours dedicated to the enforcement efforts. NHTSA conducts 3 national campaigns throughout the year, 1 for seatbelt enforcement and 2 for drunk driving enforcement. We recommend that states look at their data and decide when they should conduct additional campaigns during the year. Visibility means the police officer seen by the motoring public. Tools that are used to increase visibility include portable signage, specially marked vests, electronic message boards, and sobriety checkpoints. In addition, the HVE concept incorporates strategies such as enhanced patrols and using visibility elements designed to make enforcement efforts obvious to the public. Paid and earned media campaign helps to increase visibility. The goal of HVE is to make the motoring public aware of enforcement efforts and create a perception of increased risk of being caught for impaired driving or not wearing a seatbelt. When the perceived risk of getting caught by law enforcement goes up, the likelihood that people will engage in unsafe driving behaviors goes down. High visibility enforcement should be conducted in locations that are chosen based on crash data specific to an offense. For example, seatbelt or impaired driving. It should be in areas that are easily visible to the motoring public and are specifically selected using crash data. Choosing a location that is a high volume traffic area will assist with the visibility of your enforcement efforts, where people will see law enforcement enforcing the traffic safety laws. This helps promote voluntary compliance and change unsafe driving behaviors.
Earned media refers specifically to publicity gained through editorial influence in media outlets such as newspaper, television, radio, and the internet. It may also include a variety of formats such as news articles, letters to the editor, editorials, television, and the internet. There are many types of earned media that can be conducted to generate publicity and increase visibility. A news release is simply your short story written up in a journalistic form. To generate an attention-getting release that will stand out from the hundreds of others editors see daily, make sure it always covers the journalist's 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and whenever possible, the how as well. Be sure to cover all essential facts, but keep your releases simple and succinct. Unlike more fully developed news releases, media advisories are sent out in advance of events and press conferences to provide just enough information about the 5 W's to invite and encourage press attendance and coverage at the event. Consider a news conference to announce important events, results, or achievements. Arrange a press conference only when your news is of significant importance, likely to generate sufficient media interest, or is visually interesting, resulting in better television coverage. The goal of a press conference is to bring all of the key players together to publicize your announcement, to share dramatic visuals, and to deal with any questions for follow-up at the same time. Another very effective way to generate press interest about key initiatives and announcements is to submit a guest editorial, commentary, or letter to the editor to newspapers for publication. Note, these typically need to be directed to the newspaper's opinion page editor and not the standard news reporters you may usually deal with. Strong op-ed pieces or letters to the editor need to be informal, persuasive, and entertaining, but most importantly, succinct and to the point. Determine who will sign your op-eds and your letters in advance. Distribute to the press at least 1 to 2 weeks in advance of your event or the start of your campaign, and then follow up with the appropriate editor to secure placement. Inviting members of the media in for one-on-one interviews, going to a newspaper for a desk side briefing of a top reporter or with an entire editorial board, for example, a group interview with perhaps a number of editors and reporters, or scheduling a local TV or radio talk show interview can be very effective ways of explaining and promoting more complex announcements, trends, or stories. Think through the real news angle of your message by putting yourself in the minds of the media outlet's readers, viewers, or listeners. Even if the questioner tends to stray, try to reinterpret any difficult or off-the-wall questions to get your point across. The news media love to share human interest stories with their audiences. Tastefully and sensitively work with law enforcement and emergency response officials who are working on the front lines, as well as the family members of crash victims, or highlighting lessons learned by crash survivors. All represent powerful human interest perspectives important to the news media. Social media is a broad term that refers to a variety of digital communication techniques used for networking and social interaction, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or Google+. The importance of these online channels for getting out your message cannot be overstated, as they represent a sea change in how people consume media and interact with brands. NHTSA has developed a robust website for states and local partners where they can find all materials necessary to conduct an HVE campaign. In addition, NHTSA offers retagging of PSAs produced where states can add their logos for local media campaigns. States need to notify their NHTSA regional office if they want any of the PSAs retagged with their logo.